check go inside.
Oh, yeah.
Driving through there.
With my brother, she works with my brother.
I had no idea
His
until
name's
a
Joe.
couple months ago.
My name's John.
And now I'm like, how do I not see
The
it?
one day I
We
was
looked
like,
at the
Okay, I'd like to call this September 12th, 2023 City Planning Commission order. I ask you to turn off your cell phone or any other devices so not to disrupt the meeting. Anyone wishing to address the board, please come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record. First thing on the agenda is approval of minutes from August 8th.
move to approve.
Second.
Any questions, comments, or concerns on the minutes? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approval of minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The minutes are approved. Director Sheeline.
Mr. President, first case tonight is case P13-823. The petition of Kilo Webb and Associates, Adam D. Hart, requesting development plan approval for a friendly market and convenience store and gas station. This is for property at the northeast corner of Championship Way and 200 East. And Mr. D. Hart is here to represent the case.
Move to approve.
Second.
Good evening. My name is Adam D. Hart. I'm project manager for Kilo Webb Associates. Our offices are located at 486 Cradle Drive, Carmel, Indiana, 46032. Here tonight, working with our client, who is the property owner, HSS Petroleum, out of Lafayette. Their branding that they operate these convenience stores and filling stations is Marathon. Wanting to move to the community. I believe there's already another friendly market here in the community on a structure that they rehabbed. And as you might know, with the way they've remodeled that structure and cleaned up the area and site, that's the way they do business. They've had several of those old village pantry type facilities that they've rehabbed in north central Indiana. They're in the process of expanding their business and increasing to 26 stores. I believe they currently have 17 stores in the 765 area code: Monticello, Lafayette, Frankfort, Gas City, Marion. So Kokomo's right in the middle of their territory. Have projects that we're looking at in Noblesville and Westfield also. They're planning to spend $2 million on this project overall, if not more than that. Been delayed a little bit with the pandemic. We were hoping to get this project started a little sooner, but that delayed things. Facility itself is located on vacant ground, as Greg said, at the northeast corner of Championship Way, which comes up through here, and State Road 22, Markland Avenue on the south side, and then the Championship PUD is bounded by the exit ramp off of US 31. We're requesting a site development plan approval this evening. Again, the project with Championship Way bounding the west side of the project. And you might notice that west and northwest property lines are all road, and then the south property line is Markland Avenue, so we effectively have 3 frontages on this project, which I'll get to the importance of that here in a minute. The PUD allowed for a right turn only access off of Championship Way within 50 feet of the intersection. We've worked with Mr. Pike and moved that up as far north as we can so we can anticipate what will likely be a future signalized intersection at Championship Way and State Road 22. Based on some comments in the TAC meeting, we've added sidewalk along Championship Way. There was a misunderstanding on my part about sidewalks along the south side because that's NDOT right of way, and NDOT generally doesn't want pedestrians and sidewalks in their right of way. So what I've talked to Mr. Pike about, what we can do is provide an easement along our south property line that we can install that city sidewalk in that area. So that's one thing that is lacking on this plan that we're presenting to you this evening, that we're willing to commit to get installed with the approval of your engineering and planning departments. The building itself will be 5,000 square foot. It'll be a typical convenience store, gas station type use. We're planning for a drive-through on the north side of the building, so there will be some kind of light food user we would expect in there. Not necessarily a full kitchen, but more of a warming kitchen type thing. Might be like a Subway or a sandwich shop or something like that that would be installed with the facility. Gas pumps and canopy would be along the west side, and then we have directed the majority of our parking on the north side of the building where we would anticipate the food user to be with outdoor seating area. That's one thing that the pandemic has generated, is the need for outdoor seating, so we're accommodating that. And then we have a real good circulation pattern so we can get the trucks in and out of the site, and then still provide good access for the patrons that come into the park. We expect a lot of our business to come from the park, as they're a big vehicular generator, particularly on ball game days. So we've worked that out. We're also asking for a commitment and approval this evening of the site development plan, with the condition that we gain approval from the BZA for the 25% parking in the front requirement in the zoning ordinance. As you can tell, with 3 front sides, it's pretty hard for me to take my required 22 parking spaces and only have a quarter, which, if you do your quick math, that's 5 parking spaces on this side, 5 parking spaces on this side, 5 parking spaces on this side, and then I can't even get them fit on the site and be in compliance. So we've made that filing with the BZA. That's pending. We're hoping to be at their next regularly scheduled meeting to take care of that issue. But we have tried to direct most of our parking up here with our food user, as opposed to the convenience store gas station operation that would be the rest of the site, and trying to get the majority of the parking away from the frontage off of Markland Avenue, and so that the majority of our parking would be along the Championship Drive side. With that, we intend to design the facility be in compliance with all of Kokomo and state building codes. We would expect the surrounding property values to be positively impacted with the millions of dollars that we're investing in the property. This project will provide necessary services to the community while not burdening the school system, and there's sufficient capacity for all utilities on site. Will not change the level of service on either one of Championship Drive or Markland Avenue. With that, I'd be available for any questions or comments that any of you may have.
All good from plat.
Yeah, with the exception of the sidewalk.
TJ, as far as the sidewalk's concerned along Markland, since it's not on the plan, should we modify the motion to do the approval contingent that Mr. Diar's, I mean, he's already agreed to what John asked for, but should we amend because it's not actually on the plan?
The sidewalk is not on the
It's not on
development.
the plan that they.
Not on Markland Avenue. but
So
they-
then I think we need 2 conditions. The first of which would be the sidewalk added to the front, and the second, based upon approval of BZA,
BZA,
conditioned
that's what I
upon.
thought, sorry.
Yep.
So I amend my motion to be contingent upon the sidewalk along Markland and the BZA approval.
And I'll amend my second.
Okay, perfect. Thank
Okay.
you.
Any questions from the board? Any questions from the audience? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of case P13A23, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Next case, Mr. President, is case P21Z23, petition of Laura Cat Group, 21 LLC, requesting the Kokomo City Plan Commission petition recommended to Kokomo Common Council for a change in zone classification from R1, very low density residential, to M3, large scale multifamily residential. This is the property at 1400 East Hawker Street and the 2 adjoining lots to the north and east.
Move to approve.
Second.
If someone here to represent this case, please step forward.
My name is David Barrett. I'm an attorney with the law firm here at Bailiff, Herring, Cornwallis, and Cox. I'm representing Lyra Cap 21 Group LLC. The gentleman standing next to me is the manager of that. I guess if there's any additional questions after I present whatever I have, he might be better suited to answer your questions than I would be, so he's here to sort of jointly present this. I've already checked with the planning commission, spoke with them several times. We've presented all the necessary paperwork I believe we're required to have done. We've published notice in the newspaper. We've sent notices out to the adjoining property owners, and we've set the signs. There was a question that I was asked whether or not the signs I actually had were within view of the street. I affirmed, I guess, that was okay, that I didn't take them actually standing in Hoffer Street because I didn't want to get run over, but they're close enough to be able to get that done. The actual petition that we presented to the planning commission is for the properties that Mr. Sheeline already outlined. As we put in our petition, we believe the facts that a significant majority of the surrounding properties are now commercial nature. I've been privy to the staff report, and I believe you all always would have that as well. And that staff report, as I far seconds that, in that although there is residential property to the east and slightly to the north, to the west and south is very much a commercial property. If anyone's familiar with Metropolitan Title, they're right across the street from that. Across from that is where I think Remax used to be. So this is, for the most part, a largely commercial area. We also indicated that the facts that proposed new use of said property will be in line with surrounding properties and existing structures in need of repair. I did not submit previously, but I guess I can approach, provide these pictures would just show what the actual abandoned structure of the property right now is. Not living there and not in need of being torn down and replaced with what's going on there. We also believe that the proposed zone classification is particularly suited to this location for the very same reason I've already indicated, which is that for the most part, this is a largely commercial area already, and that we believe that the removal of the existing structure and new construction will not have any actual negative impact on the property values, considering what property's in place now, and that it would only increase the actual property values of the properties in place existing. Now, you'd indicated that this structure, if we actually go forward with it, get approval for it, would be, what kind of dollar amount are we talking about putting in this? So we're requesting the zoning classification to that. On our request is that we exceed the current M3 by, I believe, 15 to 16 lots. That will be subject to a special use exception that we would have to do subsequent to this. But they're planning on putting various high-quality market value apartment complexes in that property. They've done this in other communities. If we could share with you pictures of what those other projects look like, but this is going to be a upscale or higher-end apartment complex that will nature the submitted plans that go beyond what you normally would see, which just shows what kind of almost from site plan approval situation where the building would look like, what the elevations would look like, where the parking lot would be, and everything else, which is probably a step ahead of where you need to be, but to give you an idea of what kind of project they plan to put in that location.
Any questions from the board before we have staff report? Director Sheeline.
Staff report for case P21Z23. Bailiff Harrington, Cord, Boggins, and Cox PC on behalf of Laura Cat Group 21 LLC is requesting a change in zone classification of the property listed above. These lots will be used as apartments. According to the current City of Cocoa zoning ordinance in the M3 zone district, multifamily dwelling 15 to 50 units is a permitted use. This area is not located within the overlay district, therefore no overlay standards will apply. Petitioner will also be applying for a special exception since the proposed total number of units exceed what is permitted. Joining property zonings are to the north R1, very low density residential, to the south institutional, to the east R4 urban residential, and to the west C1 small to medium scale general commercial, and M1 low density multifamily residential. According to the City of Kokomo zoning ordinance, the M3 zoning district is compatible with all neighboring zones. According to the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map, this area of East Hawkwood and South Elizabeth is located in an area proposed for both medium density residential and general commercial, which is shown below circled yellow and red shaded area. This is for the members only. Medium density residential is a single family housing of varying types between 3 to 6 dwelling units per acre. Typical medium density housing would be single family detached, duplexes, triplexes, condominiums, townhomes, and cluster housing. General commercial is defined as being a commercial area that accommodates a wide variety of large and small scale commercial uses. Typically, this category is for commercial uses that cater to vehicular traffic with high visibility from major roadways. Land use goals encourage orderly and responsible development to promote health, safety, and quality of life for residents in the city of Kokomo while maintaining Kokomo as a leading community for affordable housing. Relevant land use objectives are to encourage adequate land for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. Designate specific districts in the community suitable for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. The goal of the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Transportation Map is to enhance connections throughout the city for improved safety, function, and efficiency for all modes of transportation, including vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian networks. According to the transportation map, this area of East Hoffer Street is defined as a major collector. A major collector is a street designed to facilitate the collection of traffic from local streets. Also provides circulation within neighborhood areas and convenient ways to reach arterial streets. The traffic count for this area of East Hoffer and South Elizabeth is 6,026 cars per day. The staff desires that the board forward a favorable recommendation to the Kokomo Common Council based on the information presented by the petitioner.
How many units over 50 are going? Do you know?
It's a total of 66 units.
66, thank you.
Are these low income? Or are they?
These are all market rate.
Thank you.
We need to amend our motion.
How many, do you know how many stories this building is gonna be?
3.
I guess my question is, are you just asking for the rezoning outright? Like the last case, we conditioned upon getting the special exception for moving the parking to the rear. This is similar in that you're gonna be asking for more units. Do you want to go ahead and rezone it to M3,
We want to rezone it to M3.
period, right?
Clearly, yes, if somehow we didn't prevail on our special use exception, we would still want to have an ability to proceed with an M3 classification and go for the units that are within that standpoint. But we do fully anticipate filing a special use exception to be proceeding with the higher amount. But clearly, if for some reason that went awry, we would still need to have this board approve the classification so they can proceed with the relatively, 16 less units than are allowed for, which I believe is 50 at this point in time.
Okay.
So,
Does that answer your question? Yeah.
How many acres total do you have there, roughly? I mean, it doesn't have to be exact. 3 acres?
Yeah, I have pictures of similar projects down in 59 County and some other.
Do you mind stating your name and address for the record?
Yeah, my name's Robert Hockema with Laura Cap Group 21 LLC.
You say you do have some photographs of other projects that are similar,
Yes.
similar density?
Yes, I have them on my phone.
Any other questions from the board? Any questions from the audience?
Name is Ray Harrison, 1618 South Elizabeth. Now, have trouble hearing, so are these market-based apartments?
Yes.
Yes,
What
sir.
size? How big are these apartments?
So 1 and 2 bedrooms,
Okay, are they gonna be 2-story, 3-story?
so 3 stories.
3 stories. So you're gonna have elevators in them.
Definitely won't be no elevator.
You're gonna have a 3-story building with no elevators? That's interesting. Your main access in and out of this place is gonna be off of Elizabeth Street or off of Hoffer Street?
There's
I believe the plan provides for access on the boat.
Off of both? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, I knew there was some inquiries that have been made, and he he's already answered that question, but these are not going to be low income or subsidized. It's going to be a market value. They're not putting in millions of dollars. They're putting in to be able to do anything other than that. They've done this in other communities. They've hired engineers that have already put together the plans that you've seen before you that are probably the next stage of the thing, that have reviewed the lot size and everything else, and we put in place. So this is not a fly-by-night group. They've determined that the size of the acreage they have can meet the requirements they have. It's not the first go around. It's not their first rodeo. They've done this beforehand, and they know what they can put on that lot.
Do you know what your minimum size apartment square footage will be, or your largest? Or 800, thank you.
With the BZA, are you looking for any exceptions beyond the number of units? You'll be able to meet the parking requirements and all of that without exception?
Yes, Kimberly Horn went through all of the requirements that he was zoning, so it should be, obviously if there was something that came up, we would definitely address it immediately and reach out to you guys.
We've actually submitted this paperwork, and as far as I understand it, I don't want to take anything away from the planning commission or anything else they've indicated to me, but we're kind of maybe the paperwork a step ahead of where you are actually now with anticipation of the next couple of steps that are in place. I have not been informed of anything other than I need to get a special use exception, any other variance or anything else needs to be done about this at all. The only question I received was one about potentially landscaping that's going to potentially be put in the area. We haven't answered that question yet, but beyond that, I don't believe there's anything that would be necessary other than getting approval for the extra lots, or the extra, not extra lots, the extra units we need to do beyond what we have today. If they have anything different than that, they can certainly enlighten me, but I'm not aware of anything that needs to be done differently than that.
One thing I want to point out is I'm going to be working on Hoffer Street in the kind of near future. So the sooner you can get your engineer communicating with me, the better off we'll both be.
We can do that immediately.
Okay.
I can get your best contact information and put them in touch with you.
Okay.
I can be involved in that too.
All right.
You said these are 3 stories. Is parking on the, is there a garage like on the lower level? Will there be parking under their unit? Or,
I think that it's all surface level parking. There should be a layout of the parking.
Yeah, the diagrams we provided would not show an actual parking garage. It would be a parking lot to the west of where the actual units would be going. The units themselves would be aligned with the, for the most part, the western portion, or eastern portion of that property, with a parking lot to the west of that, which is where the tenants would actually park their vehicles.
Any questions from the audience?
Well, in full disclosure and transparency, I do want to say that I did receive a couple of emails this afternoon from a couple of gentlemen who, they specifically said they were not against the project, but they did have concerns with the number of units, the traffic flow, which I assured them that that would be looked at during site plan approval, things of that nature. So I just want to let everybody know that we did have a couple of comments from the public. So,
In full disclosure to that effect, I spoke with Mr. Sheeline before we came in today. I believe that I'm familiar with one of the people he's actually speaking with. That person actually contacted me. His major concern seemed to be the one that's already been addressed today, which is what type of housing was going in and whether it was market value or not. I expressed that to him. He indicated that would have a bearing on whether or not he was going to be here tonight, and since I assume that with the exception of the one gentleman, he's not here tonight, that resolved the questions he had. I can't speak for him, but he indicated that he would relay that information to the other 2 gentlemen you had talked to, and that if either of them had any concerns, they would either get back to me or they would be here tonight. And since they didn't get back to me, at least as an officer of the court, and since they're not here tonight, I'm assuming those issues were resolved with the phone conversation we had today.
Any questions from the audience? Any questions from the board before I call for a vote? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote for case P21Z23. Please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. It now goes to the city council and will be presented there by Councilman Grieco.
Thank you.
okay. Next case, Mr. President, is case P22Z23. Petition of Boyer Restaurant Group LLC requesting the Kokomo City Plan Commission petitioner recommended the Kokomo Common Council for changing zone classification from R1 very low density residential to C2 medium to large scale commercial. This is for property at 1717 North Faith Road, and the adjoining lot to the north.
Move to approve.
Second.
Good afternoon or evening, everyone. My name is Attorney Brian Oakes, 515 West Sycamore, Kokomo, Indiana, 46901. I am here on behalf of the Boyer Restaurant Group today. They own 2 parcels that are adjacent to one another. One is a little bit over 3 acres and one is a ½ acre. And we wish to, and the bigger of the 2 parcels is already zoned C2. The small little parcel of 0.5 acres is presently zoned R1. We filed a combination affidavit to combine those 2 pieces of properties. So we're asking today for the Plan Commission to recommend that the rezoning on the 0.51 acres go from an R1 to a C2. And if that happens, the Boyer Restaurant Group intends to erect 2 brand-new hotels. One will be like a daily kind of rental charge, and the other would be maybe like a weekly or monthly for like out-of-town executives or things like that working here on long-term projects. So with that being said, I will be happy to answer any questions, and Mr. Boyer is present if anyone has a question about the substance of the project.
Any questions from the board before we have staff report?
Staff report for case P22Z23 Boyer Restaurant Group LLC is requested to change the zoning classification for the property address to listed above. This lot will be combined with a larger lot identified as Lot B just to the north of said lot. The parcel will be utilized as a location for future hotels. According to the current City of Kokomo zoning ordinance in the C2 zoning district, a hotel is a permitted use. This parcel is just outside the community center overlay district. Therefore, no overlay standards would apply to this rezoning. Adjoining properties to the north are C2, medium to large-scale general commercial. That was to the north, I'm sorry. To the south is IAS institutional, and also R1, very low-density residential, and to the east, C2, medium to large-scale general commercial, and to the west, institutional. According to the City of Kokomo zoning ordinance, the C2 zoning district is compatible with all neighborhood zonings except for the R1 zoning to the south. However, as shown above, there are existing properties zoned as R1 that border other C2 properties. According to the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map, this area of North Faith Road is located in an area proposed for low-density residential, which is shown below as the circled light yellow shaded area. Low-density residential single-family housing below a density of 3 units per acre. Typical low-density housing would be single-family detached homes. Land use goals to encourage orderly and responsible development to promote health, safety, and quality of life of residents in the City of Kokomo while maintaining Kokomo as a leading community for affordable housing. Relevant land use objectives are to encourage adequate land for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses, and to designate specific districts in the community suitable for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. The goal of the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Transportation Map is to enhance connections throughout the city for improved safety, function, and efficiency for all modes of transportation, including vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian networks. According to the transportation map, this area of North Faith Road is defined as a local street. A local street is designed primarily to provide access to abutting properties and discourage through traffic. The traffic count for this area of North Faith Road is 5,970 cars per day. The staff desires that the board forward a favorable recommendation to the Kokomo Common Council based on the information presented by the petitioner.
Any questions from the board? Now we've had staff report. Any questions from the audience?
My name is James Ball, 1709 Faith Road. I'm the pastor of the church right next door. I just had one question, and I don't know if this is in this meeting that I should ask it, but I want to get it over with and see if I can get an answer.
Sure.
There's a lot of area right now. It's all field and grass, and all whenever it rains, the water all goes down. My question is, it's all going to be pavement and building, and there's a lot of low-lying properties adjacent to all of this. I wanted to be sure that everybody's figured this out and they're gonna be able to get that run water, you know what I'm saying? Because the properties, all the rain will just go to these low-lying areas, and it's not just the church, it's the street behind the property, it's really low. And I'm just concerned about that. And I don't know if this is the meeting or not to talk
Well,
about
I
that.
mean, not really, but we'll discuss it since you brought it up. This is just the rezoning.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
However, once we get into the development side of it, that's John's baby, and he'll look at all the drainage. And we always do our very best.
I thought you would, yeah.
To try to protect our neighboring properties.
I just wanted to mention it so it's in somebody's mind.
Yeah, it will likely have a collection system. The parking lot water will be collected in a holding area pond, let's say. Could be a dry pond, could be a wet pond. It's pretty early to decide that, but.
Okay.
And then it'll be metered out at roughly the same rate that it's getting off now. I mean, that's the theory behind it, right?
Yeah, yeah, okay. That was it.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the audience? Any questions from the board?
You said there would be 2 hotels, Mr. Anderson?
Correct. Yes.
Do you know what the number of rooms per hotel is?
Mark Boyer,
Mark, I need your address, Chief.
653 South Warren West, Indiana.
Thank you, sir.
Wood Springs would be 122 keys, 122 rooms, and the Fairfield Inn would be 77 rooms.
Okay,
the first
so
one?
roughly
Fair.
222. Okay, thank you.
Way bigger than the others.
Just to
Who
follow up,
was the other 20, who's the
we got a
122
detention
for?
pond plan for the back.
Fairfield Inn
Wood
and-
Springs,
Okay.
something like that. I know the question was asked at BZA, do you know exactly how far that motel's gonna come as far as on the property line of this little area we're rezoning? 10? Yeah, just overlap. I know most of it's parking lot, correct? So it was just asked, I took a guess then, I didn't know if you knew how far it was gonna oversee or not. No problem. Any questions from the audience? Any questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of case P22Z23, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion carries. It now goes to the common council and will be presented there by Councilman Greenfield. Thank you.
Next case, Mr. President, is case P23Z23, petition of Boyer Brothers LLC, requesting the Copeland City Planning Commission petition and recommended to Copeland Common Council for change in zone classification from PDM1 plan development and C2 medium to large scale general commercial to MP multifamily. This is 64.695 acres, I believe, and is generally bounded by State Road 931 and East Sycamore Road.
Move for approval.
Second.
Hello, excuse me, my name is Birch Dalton, 555 East Main, Westfield, Indiana. I'm one of the developers of this property and representing Mark and Steve Boyer in this rezoning request. And I think the first stage that we're talking about is to convert it from its current zoning to the M2, and then in our next case, we'll talk about the PUD that we're planning. So I don't know how much in depth you want me to go now on this part, or, because I do have a presentation and then a report from a neighborhood meeting we had last week, and then prepare to answer any questions we have.
Might as well go ahead and do that while you're up there, I suppose.
Okay. So, before I forget, a gentleman named Joel Johnson called me today. He's on the joiner list on Sycamore, and he's opposed to the project. I told him I'd stick his name in for him because he couldn't make it. Joel Johnson. So, Ray Trails is Bent Creek. I remember as a child as Delco Park in the 60s and 70s. I grew up in Kokomo, and I remember this property well. I think one of the key aspects of the development is we're going to leave all the private area here around the Wildcat, and the drainage as it is, improve the trails. So I remember these days, and so the opportunity came to me to help on this project out of the Kokomo housing report that was distributed over the last year or so, where there was specific needs for diversified housing. And what you're going to see here tonight is a very broad PUD, a very large PUD. And I'll use this board over here real quick because it's easier. Assuming I can get this thing to work. So the blue area here, we're proposing commercial, purple, multifamily apartments here for sale, townhomes and homes, and then here would be for sale duplexes and or townhomes. So it reaches a wide range of housing needs, from people that want to rent apartments to people who want to own a little more and have a little more space. So Holiday Properties has been a good partner of mine in Westfield. My background, Edge Rock, if you drive on 31, very familiar with the 31 overlay through Westfield. I developed the Riverview Hospital, ProX, Starbucks, a lot of commercial restaurants. And so this is the kind of housing you're looking at, a little more modern look. It would have elevators, and it would be on the higher end of the market rate of rents. So it's all market rate apartments. We go through here, you know the location. Here's an aerial of it. Again, our goal is to preserve a lot of this great view and nature, and we consider it amenity. Another amenity out there is a hidden gem, is this fitness center. The gentleman who runs it has worked hard to build it up and has done real well. So as part of our good neighbor community, we'll rebuild the fitness center a little on the commercial side, allow him to keep his customers, and then pick up the amenities for the whole community. So it'll help grow his business, and we keep the same amenity. Again, quick review, purple's going to be commercial. I'm sorry, blue, then purple would be the apartments, green, and the yellow will be single-family duplexes, townhomes for sale. As you can see, it's a large project. It won't happen overnight, but the same developer who you just approved the hotels for is the same developer working with me on the apartments and the commercial. So I think we'll have a very good momentum going into it. This kind of explains the commercial. We're asking for flexibility here. What I envision is a 40,000 square foot retail area that would encompass the fitness center, maybe some indoor pickleball, restaurants, and then professional offices like eye doctors, dentists and so forth. And then we're asking for the possibility of a hotel here and or the multi-use building you see here. And this is very familiar. If you look at in Fishers, it's called the Yard. It's a very cool 9-acre area where they have a multitude of restaurants, butcher shops, a lot. It's just a little urban hub, and it has apartments up and first floor retail. So I think this is a chance with the battery plant going in there and the established ITP plant is to really create some momentum for the north end of Kokomo. Obviously, Markland's done extremely well and continues to do so, but we feel that we can add some energy to the north side. If you look at what we're building here on the apartment side, commercial side, they will be very significant buildings. Obviously, we have the 931 overlay, but we think we exceed all the requirements there. Total aggregate, based on all the housing, you're talking over 100 million, probably over 5 to 7 years. This is the apartments. You'll see we in discussions, this is designed for anybody and everybody. We believe Kokomo's, with all the momentum it has, people are ready for a little more amenities in their apartments. This will have a swimming pool, obviously the fitness, the pickleball, plus the trails, and we'll improve the trails that are there now. Not that they're that bad, but it will improve them. Then going down, you'll see the type of units. There'll be mostly 1s and 2 bedrooms, maybe occasional 3 just based on the engineering, but that's not our focal point. It's the 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom. Here, you'll see, if you look, this example is pretty similar to what's there now. And then we want to add 2-story townhomes in this area. And then the area I like the most, as I'm downsizing, as I'm getting older, is this. This is down by the pond, which, we have great views. And this would be more of the duplexes, but again, for sale. We're not building it to be rental landlord. And so we had a neighborhood meeting last week, which I believe communication's the key. And we had well attended. About 25 people showed up. 2 or 3 were opposed. They're currently looking at the dumpsters. They said they didn't want to look at the apartments. And I said, I understand. So we had a couple, but the majority were very excited about it. And they raised about 4 points. We'll go over those now. Right here, the people living here, they're concerned about us extending Bent Creek into this housing addition. There's currently a cul-de-sac there. And I said, well, we're happy to meet your needs, but fire safety, public safety will probably dictate what we have to do. In my neck of the woods, you have to have 2 ways in and out. So don't know, couldn't promise you, but we'll talk about it. Another one was a great point. Our neighbors to the south, a restaurant wanted to be, it's right in here, you can't see it, but they wanted to be connected to our commercial, which, obviously we can do it with trails. We do have a fixed feature here. I'll put it back up here to make it easy. There is a fixed feature right here. There's a big utility easement that kind of breaks these two. I doubt that a road would be allowed underneath it, maybe, but we want to work with our neighbor there and improve their business. Another point, same neighbor was concerned about 931 here as we come in, and we are under contract with Mr. Anderson's property here, and so we would like to move those cars off of that and incorporate it. Mr. Boyer has it under contract, but we're not asking for that to be included in our PUD tonight. But they would like to see a better decel lane out here. I said, well, that's 931's not my purview. Don't know, but Kokomo, we'll do our best to talk about it. The last point was HOA. As you know, there's been a few houses there for many years. And so the HOA needs to be kind of reconstituted, kind of reformed with this development. And there's some current landowners that want to be part of that. And we committed to creating a better HOA that define things and so forth. So overall, we feel it's a great project for Kokomo. It's on a great piece of ground. We think it's the best piece of ground in Kokomo. We're excited about getting started on the apartments first. That will generate enough energy to work with the commercial next. And then we fill in the housing as we go. So in a nutshell, we're here to answer questions. I know we work very well with staff. Victoria and Rhonda has been through our PUD with fine-tooth comb. We found a couple typos again today that we'll clean up, but we think we're in pretty good shape. So I'm here to answer questions.
How many apartments is going to be in the purple area?
I'd say it's probably approaching 300 at the max.
How many stories is that going to be?
Sorry.
How many stories building is that going to be?
They will be as big as 4 stories or 60 feet, whichever is the lesser of. I think the maximum height's 60 feet, but imagine most of them will be 3 stories. I think when we get to final design, if I had my druthers, this area right here along the bank, I'd like to have those buildings, you know, we approach them, have nice walkout, little basements kind of, or decks, if you would, to that, because this is a great amenity right here. So I think we're going to be very aware of the contours of the property and try to create something that's not in Kokomo.
Okay, in the yellow area, can you go back to the slide that highlights what you're gonna put there? It shows the actual footprint of what you're building. Oh,
So you're going to see in that area,
that area right there.
well,
Are those
those are
apartments? on-
townhomes right there,
on the
but you're going to have a mix of these also. What's currently there, I think for these to flow, these look kind of like what you have here. And this is going to be parking. And as you talk about parking, we're putting in visitor parking here. You can see it in the site plan right there. And then for the apartments, staff asked us to have one space for every 7 apartments for visitors only.
Where's these people gonna park? That's actually on Bent Creek.
Well, that was another issue. The people on Bent Creek would like to have one side of it no parking. So you can't have off-street parking but on one side because they believe it's too narrow to have it on both sides. So these people all should be parking on their driveway or in their garages.
They have everything on Bent Creek has a garage and a drive.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, now, go back, the yellow section up there, where's those people gonna park the apartments at the very east of the project?
You're saying at the apartments?
The duplexes.
The duplexes and
Yeah.
there we are.
So duplexes, this is probably not the best exhibit, but they'll have parking, off-street park. Everybody will have off-street parking. So this exhibit here doesn't show it. This is a back-loaded product there, but we'll have front-loaded product on all this, because obviously down here, you couldn't have a back-loaded product, but we'll have parking for everybody, driveways and so forth. So there'll be no on-street parking other than visitors. But, you know, that was the concern with the neighborhood, is that little cul-de-sac right there. They really would like to maintain that and then create their own entrance and exit here off of Sycamore. So, did I get your question?
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions from the commission?
Any questions from the board?
Not any questions, but clarifications. As far as, a decel lane or anything out on 931, it's not the city of Kokomo's jurisdiction either, it's the state of Indiana's. So you'd have to do a traffic study and prove to them that it's needed, which is like 20 right turns per hour in order to require one. So that's a lot of people turning in there in an hour.
Right. Yeah, and, our goal would be, right now you have, on the Anderson property, 4 cuts in that corner. Imagine when we bring that through, we'd be talking about how we minimize those cuts.
Absolutely.
And, because
That would be my preference.
I'm sure, and I've been through enough zoning, this is a chance to clean up, not necessarily errors of history, but changing of life.
Sure.
So, that's where you attack these issues.
And the second thing on the cul-de-sac, I would tend to agree with you. With that many units in there, I think it would be irresponsible for us to allow you to do that with just one entrance exit.
So I thought about that, and I was gonna ask you if this was work. I'd like to meet the needs of the current people there, because they bought something, and, that's their home.
Sure, I get it.
And, I'm not in the business of, so what if we considered this? Instead of having one entrance off of Sycamore, we have one on this side, another one there. So now you got 2 ways in, one way in, one way out, if you would. If I could get, those approved cuts. I mean, would that help
Certainly,
accommodate the needs of the current people and you?
yes.
So we'll redesign it to do that.
Okay.
Any other questions from the board? Questions from the audience? Yeah. Sir, I need you to come to the microphone. That's all right. I need your name and address so we know what that is.
Jim Vega, 2066 Bent Creek Road.
Thank you.
You're welcome. My question was, the cul-de-sac that's there now, would that be connected to your other townhouses and apartments there?
Well, we just talked about that.
I can't hear back here.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear you all back there. So, what we talked about is that we'll work with engineers and staff and make 2 cuts off of Sycamore for this, and leave that as it is.
So you have a west side and an east side entrance and departure there, okay?
But
And
again,
so, street parking, where we're at, that road's not that wide, okay? So, are you saying that you're gonna allow street parking just on one side?
you know, again, that's a city street. I don't know if it's been dedicated or not, if it's still a private drive. If it's a dedicated street, I really can't say what they can do or not do. The city will tell us.
Well, we all have driveways
Yeah.
and room for 2 cars, plus the garages, so.
So, to kind of meet your need or your concern about that, I suggested that maybe one side would be a no parking side, because you've got people gonna have visitors.
Oh, yeah, I understand that, I just didn't want permanent parking.
Yeah, but a dedicated street, I'll do whatever the city tells me to do.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ray.
You're welcome.
Jan Warner, I live at 2033 Bent Creek Road, existing duplex. In the picture that we were shown of the housing, at the bottom of it, it says the ones they're building to my left and the ones building to my right are going to be 2-story. We're going to be squatted down and they're going to be extremely high compared to ours. And are these going to be, right now, it is adults. And we don't want a bunch of kids, we have grandkids that come and visit us and, but they leave. You know, the way it's supposed to be, right?
I don't know.
She's lot 13, it was not mentioned, her, sorry.
Giselle Hoover,
And address, please.
503 West, East Walnut.
Thank you.
Okay, so she wants to know everything, all the lots are mentioned. She's, section 1, lot 13. Down where it has all of the, parcel numbers, her parcel was not mentioned.
They
So she
can't
doesn't
do
know
anything
if-
to her parcel.
Okay, so her house is.
They're not gonna come in, kick you out, and then rebuild something, and
All she
then
wanted to know. Thank
you retain your property. So the reason her parcel's not listed is because they're only looking at what they can legally touch or build upon or change.
Okay.
But are they going to be 2-story?
Potentially, that'll be considered through the development plan. That's not what we're here to look at tonight.
Well, I know I've got the high roof level, but, well, there's something else that's gonna ask. If I think about it, I'll.
Okay.
So that, so we're all clear, I have grandkids too. I got one in college and one still in high school, so I got plenty of kids. But this is not an age-restricted or defined neighborhood like a Del Webb.
Any other questions from the audience? Please come forward.
Yeah, Timothy Schnapp, I live at 22074 Bent Creek Road. Question I had, I forgot to think about the other night. You said you were going to develop the apartments first and the commercial second.
Yeah, there'll be overlap, but the apartments first, and we've been discussing getting 3 or 4 buildings up quickly. And then
Okay, the gym, Body Unlimited, is in this area here, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you build the apartments first where Body Unlimited is, that means it gets torn down before the area over here is ready.
we consider him amenity of the apartments, so he would be located over there where we built.
In the
We don't want to
apartments or in the?
In the commercial.
Okay, but if you do the apartments first, you gotta get rid of him.
I understand, but we'll bill him simultaneously. We won't take him out of business until his new location's ready. I mean, we feel he's an important part of the project.
Any other questions from the audience?
Mary Stang, and I live at 2013 Bent Creek Road. And I just had a question. If you're going to have two entrances and exits to that orange area, then according to this, there's only one entrance into the flats and one entrance into the ridges. Do you have to do the same thing for the purple area and the green flats area? According to, like if this area needs two because of all the houses, would this need two and this need two? That's gonna be the only entrance.
Correct.
Into there and all the way down here if that's shut off.
Well, we're doing this to accommodate the neighbors so they don't have the traffic from these people going this way.
But you will not shut this off.
That won't be there, the cul-de-sac stays, so.
Okay.
Yeah, that'll go, but to answer your question, I can assure you by the time we get the detailed development plan and work with the city, this main entrance will be such that people come in, they go this way, and then, you know, this building will make it fun. The city engineers and everybody will have a lot of say in how that entrance works out, because it's got to handle the volume, right? It's far enough away from this light, so it's far enough. Probably the only entrance that will really be a tussle is this here, being that close to the light. This is a commercial, so so we at least have to have 450 feet there. But, and this is where we work with you, Mr. Pike, that utility easement, that the big electrical, if we can find accommodation to go underneath the road, which I think we can do, that may alleviate a lot of our concern as far as where we have cuts and take pressure off the single family homes.
We're right here.
Yeah,
I'm
I
afraid
get
we're
it.
gonna have
So
to back out
what
with
you
all
like
this
is
traffic.
not to have that flashing lights in your house.
Well, there's flashing lights now because of the trees that are nice. But all this traffic,
Agreed.
I'm just not sure we can even back out of our drive.
So again, we're talking zoning today. You'll have another bite of the apple. We've been on the detailed development plan, and I can assure you, they're gonna lean all over us as we work on that. But we'll take care of it.
Yeah, keep in mind, folks, the staff, my office and John's office, we've seen the conceptual stuff, but all we're looking at tonight's the rezoning. We'll get into all the other nuts and bolts of it when we start doing development plan approval. That's where John's office will get involved in the drainage and where we're gonna do the roads and how we're gonna ingress and egresses and all that. So we'll look at that a lot deeper as this development moves forward, so.
And there will likely be changes between the drawing you look at today and what we end up with, if that's a fair statement.
Very fair statement.
Any other questions from the audience? Any questions from the board?
Just a quick statement. So the first case we're looking at under P23, Z23 is looking at M1 to M2, right? Because we don't do a lot of plan unit development, so I just want to explain that to the board.
Right.
So under our current zoning ordinance you can't go from M1 to PD. You have to go to M1, you have to go from M2 to PD. So right now we're looking at M1 to M2. Case P24, Z23 is going M2 to PD, which is that plan unit development, it's an ordinance that in and of itself will encompass that area and has its own specific uses, architectural standards, etc. So that's where we're at now is M1 to M2, then we're going to PD for the next case.
Because we can't go directly to PD.
Correct.
That's correct.
Yep.
Any questions on that from the board? You all good? Any questions from the audience? Any questions from the board? No, I'll call for,
We do have a staff report.
you didn't read that on
No, not this one. What do you mean? As much as I'd love to read, I obviously didn't.
that? Well, settle in.
I obviously didn't. Yeah, I need to get my staff to write shorter, that's for sure. Okay. Staff report for case P23Z23. We're going from C2 and PDM1 to M2, meeting the large-scale general commercial and low-density multifamily residential plan development to multifamily residential. Warrior Restaurant Group LLC is requesting a change in zone classification. While the address parcels listed above, the area will be utilized as a location for a future planned development PD for both commercial and residential use. Currently, some of the parcels are located within various overlay districts. I refer to the document entitled Overlay Detail, which all the members have in their packet. Adjoining properties are zoned as follows. To the north, C2 medium to large scale general commercial, R1 very low density residential, C1 small to medium scale general commercial, OC office commercial, and AG agricultural. To the south, C2 medium to large scale general commercial, and R1 very low density residential. To the east, R1 very low density residential, and OC office commercial. And to the west, C2 medium to large scale general commercial. According to the City of Kokomo zoning ordinance, the M2 zoning district is compatible with all the zonings that border this area. According to the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map, this area of East Sycamore is located in an area proposed for general commercial and parks and recreation. General commercial is an area that accommodates a wide variety of large and small-scale commercial uses. Typically, this category is for commercial uses that cater to vehicular traffic with high visibility from major roadways. Pardon me. Parks and recreation are public and private parks used for passive and attractive recreation, also low-impact commercial recreation facilities. Under land use goals to encourage orderly and responsible development, to promote health, safety, and quality of life of residents in the City of Kokomo, while maintaining Kokomo as a leading community for affordable housing. Relevant land use objectives are to encourage adequate land for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses, designate specific districts in the community suitable for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. The goal of the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Transportation Map is to enhance connections throughout the city for improved safety, function, and efficiency for all modes of transportation, including vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian networks. According to the transportation map, this area of East Sycamore is defined as a minor arterial. A minor arterial is a street that collects and distributes traffic to and from collector and primary arterial streets. The traffic count for this area of East Sycamore Road is 5,367 cars per day. The staff desires that the board forward a favorable recommendation to the Common Council based on the information presented by the petitioner.
Any questions from the board? Now we've had staff report. Any questions from the audience? Any questions from the board? I'll call for a vote. All in favor of case P23Z23, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries, and now we'll go to the Common Council and presented there by Councilman Grieco.
The next case tonight is case P24Z23, petition of Boyer Brothers LLC requesting the Kokomo City Plan Commission petition to recommend the Kokomo Common Council for a change in zone classification from M2 multi-family residential to PDM2 plan development for a property. This is the property of the 64 acres, I believe it was, if I remember correctly, and this is bounded by State Road 931 and East Sycamore Way.
Move to approve.
Second.
He already presented.
We're going to count that as being presented since he just left the room.
Mr. Dalton,
Yeah.
could you present this case?
It's basically the same thing, right?
Same case.
Yeah.
We're just betting on the plan development part now, so. Well, that's all right. That's
Last
just-
one, I want to leave Kokomo.
That's all I need you to say.
Name, address.
Say what?
Name it.
What are you requesting? Are you requesting that we go from M2 to PD?
Yes, I am.
All right, thank you.
Any questions from the board before we have staff report?
Staff report for case P24-23, low density multifamily residential to low density multifamily residential plan development. Boyer Restaurant Group LLC is requesting change in zone classification for the address parcels listed above. The area will be utilized as plan development for both commercial and residential use. The purpose of a plan development district is to provide greater design flexibility in the development of land, which creates an attractive, efficient, and stable living, working, and shopping environment. Currently, some of the parcels are located within various overlay districts, and you need to refer to the attached document titled Overlay Detail, which again you all have in your packet. Joining properties are zoned again to the north C2, R1, C1, and OC, and agricultural. To the south C2 and R1, to the east R1, and to the west C2. The City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan serves as a strategic guide to implement effective decisions, making in both private development projects and community expenditures for the overall public good. According to the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Future Land Use Map, this area of East Sycamore is located in an area proposed for general commercial and parks and recreation. General commercial is an area that accommodates a wide variety of large and small-scale commercial uses. Typically, this category is for commercial uses that cater to vehicular traffic with high visibility from major roadways. Park and recreations are public and private parks used for passive and attractive recreation, also low-impact commercial recreation facilities. Land use goals to encourage orderly and responsible development to promote health, safety, and quality of life of residents in the City of Kokomo, while maintaining Kokomo as a leading community for affordable housing. Relevant land use objectives are to encourage adequate land for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses, designate specific districts in the community suitable for residential, commercial, industrial, institutional, and recreational uses. The goal of the City of Kokomo Comprehensive Plan Transportation Map is to enhance connections throughout the city for improved safety, function, and efficiency for all modes of transportation, including vehicular, bicycle, and pedestrian networks. According to the transportation map, this area of East Sycamore is defined as a minor arterial. A minor arterial is a street that collects and distributes traffic to and from collector and primary arterial streets. The traffic count for this area of East Sycamore is 5,367 cars per day. The staff desires that the board forward a favorable recommendation to the Kokomo Common Council based on the information presented by the petitioner.
Any questions from the audience? Now we've had staff report. Any questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of case P24Z23, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. It now goes to City Council and will be presented there by Councilman Review. Anything under other business, Mr. Sheehan?
I do have something real quick under other business, Mr. President. If you all remember, about a year or so ago, this board approved Section 2 to have in place. They have had some problems getting contractors to finish Section 2 of Abbey Place. They've asked for an extension because the plat has to be recorded within 1 year after approval, and they're quickly becoming on their 1 year anniversary. So I talked to John. John's fine with it. I'm okay with it. So I'm asking that the board vote and give Abbey Place Section 2 a 1 year extension to complete the project. It's not a normal, we've done it before. A normal, that's not a word, is it? That's not normal. We have done it before, it's been a while, but it is something that I would prefer to do it this way than they came to us and asked for the extension, so I prefer to do it that way.
I would move that we give Abbey Place a 1 year extension.
Second.
Thank you. We do need a vote. We're ready to go. Let's go.
Staff report.
All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Extension is granted. Next thing on the agenda is approval of claims.
I move to approve claims in the amount of $29,706.99.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for approval of claims. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Claims are approved.
That's all I have, Mr. President.
The motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Thank you all.
Aye.
So will you be up at